Hey, what's up? John Sonmez from SimpleProgrammer.com. So I got this question about how do you network? I thought this is a good one for me to answer here, because I don't think I've really talked about networking. Networking is kind of a bad word in my mind because I think people do networking so wrong and so bad. So let's hash this out here. Let's see what we can talk about here. So question says, it's from Ken, and he says, "Hi John, I want to become a tech entrepreneur, investor, and businessman in the future, just like you in a nutshell." You just in a nutshell. All right, I like it. All right, I'm currently a junior web/WordPress developer, and I want to know the business side of technology. For that to happen, I need to know people, and knowing people means networking. Questions are as follows. Let's see, it says, "I'm from Australia, keep that in mind, so I don't have many coding events, Microsoft events, or special technology events like in America. I've never been in a networking environment or event/conference before, so what should you do in a networking event?" Okay, good. How do you network? Where can I find networking events or conferences? How do I get an opportunity to do public speaking gigs? Start off with schools, colleges, act as a guest? Question mark. What are some networking techniques, skills you can teach me? I know this is a handful, and I know you prefer small questions, but I'm going to ask you a big question anyway. That's what everyone does. It's all right. Let me know if you have a preferred format for asking questions, e.g. how many lines, questions, word count, etc. That's an analytical mind there. All right, Ken. Appreciate you, buddy. All right, so let's talk about this. I'm going to sort of roll this all into one and summarize. Okay, so you want to build your network. How do you do it? Let's talk about the principles behind it. That's a better place to go then. And we'll talk a little bit about strategy and technique. But the principle behind networking, right? And this is why networking is such a bad and dirty word in my mind, is because people do this wrong. But the principle behind it is that you want to be a person who creates a lot of value for other people. And when you're networking in person, right? In person, that means that you make them feel good and they have a good time around you and they learn something and they find value in what you're saying in your conversation and being an acquaintance to you and being in your network. That's how you network, is you figure out ways to accomplish that goal, right? People have it backwards. They have it the reverse. They're like, how can I get people that can help me? No, wrong. Especially, people, developers often will try and network when they need a job, okay? That's not when you network. You don't show up at code groups, right, and meetups, desperate looking for a job, trying to network so you can get something out of people. You don't get something out of your network, right? You have to put into your network before you get out, and that's the key. And you got to invest in it for a long time. You got to grow that network. You got to plant those seeds before you can harvest. If you're coming in there, a lot of you, and you're trying to network, you're trying to quote network, and what you're trying to do is you're trying to harvest someone else's crops. You're trying to harvest before you plant it, right? You got to have the principle of you reap what you sow. That's the principle that's at work with networking, and that's critical. That's important. Networking doesn't work without that, okay? It takes a long time to build up your network. How do you do it effectively? Well, first of all, you got to go to places where people are, right? So I go to a lot of conferences. When I go to conferences, a lot of what I do, I go to speak at the conference, but then I'm in the hallway track, right? I'm in there talking to people. I'm networking. I'm meeting people. I'm not trying to grow my network. I'm trying to meet cool people and have fun and discuss things with them and see what happens. See if I can give them some value. See if I can teach them something. See if I can help them with something, right? Oftentimes you'll see me at a conference spending a lot of time with one or two people that I'm giving them value. I'm helping them. I'm like, they're trying to do something that I know something about. I'm just giving, right? And oftentimes what will happen is that person will go and they'll talk to other people and say, man, that John guy, he's so awesome. He knows all this about real estate and taxes, or he knows all this about fitness, and he helped me figure out my business problem, right? And that reputation, that helps. It doesn't immediately grow your network, but people hear of you, right? And then the next time they hear of you, right, you sort of build that kind of reputation, and that's how you kind of get that network, and you get the respect of people that you wouldn't be able to reach, right? Because if you are, if you're sort of unknown, right? Let's say you're just going to a conference, and a lot of the attendees that are at the conference, they talk to the conference organizer and like, man, that guy, that Joe, he's awesome. He just like, he knows you should have him as a speaker. I can't believe he's not a speaker. Like, this guy knows a ton of stuff. He really helped me. Now that organizer or even some of the speakers that are there, they've heard your name. They're like, oh, okay, that's interesting. This Joe guy, right? He's helping other people that are at this event, right? So that's how you sort of build that up. So when you go to events like this, first of all, you got to go find events, right? You got to go out to conferences. If you can't find conferences or you can't afford conferences, go to meetup groups, right? There's always groups, there's always organizations, right? There's, I just joined, or I'm just joining Toastmasters. That's an organization. That's a good one, especially for business entrepreneurs, right? There's a lot of people in Toastmasters, I think, not just developers, right? So find the places, right? I think there's like a young entrepreneurs club, associations. Go to meetup.com and look for clubs and organizations and meetups and see. That's going to help you, right? If you really want to build a network, if you're like serious about this, then maybe go to like 3 of these meetups a week, like really, or even start your own meetup. You really want to network, be the person who creates the value for everyone by starting the meetup. In fact, let me tell you someone who is one of the greatest networkers that I know of. It's my buddy here. I think I did an interview with him on this channel. Dan Martell, okay? Now, this guy knows, when I meet a new person, one of the questions I inadvertently ask them, especially an entrepreneur, is I say, do you know Dan Martell? And they say, yeah, I know Dan Martell. How do you know Dan Martell? Right? Because he is a networker. Now, I don't know all of his secrets, okay? But I know one of his secrets. He calls them founder dinners, okay? And this is, again, you don't have to duplicate this specific technique or strategy, but it's the principle behind it. So when he goes to a city, he organizes founder dinners, right? When he's traveling he never eats alone, right? That book, Keith, was it I can't think of his name now, but Never Eat Alone. Check that book out. This is a good book. But he basically lives by that, right? In fact, not only does he never eat alone, he never eats with less than 5 people. He's like he goes to a city, he gets all these kind of famous people that he wouldn't necessarily be able to get connections with, that wouldn't just go to dinner with him, and he creates a founder dinner, and he says, oh, so-and-so is going to be there, and he name drops, and he invites them all together, and they want to meet each other, they want to network, right? And he's the facilitator. He made it all happen. You know how much value he has in all those people's eyes? Very high, right? So that's a great strategy for networking, is be that person that brings everyone together. So let me see if I've covered sort of all this. There's different angles that we could take this, right? I mean, we could talk about this for a long time, but I think the key thing I would tell you is to base it off of those principles of creating value for others. That you build a network by being someone who's really valuable, that's cool, that people want to hang out with because you're giving them value. Whether that be entertainment because you're funny, right? Funny guys, and gals, they're networking all the time. Like, people want to be around them, right? The life of the party, right? But it doesn't have to be that. You could be really smart. You could be just a great resource. You could be, high status, and people want to be around you because you're high status. There's a lot of ways to create value for others, right? That's going to help you with your network. So we talked about going to events and stuff, right? Becoming a speaker, I'm not going to talk about that, but I'll give you the very basics, which is you go to these meetups, you go to these groups, and you start volunteering to speak at them, okay? And then you'll be able to level up and you get it filmed if you can. Get your buddy in there, even hire a videographer, have them come and film it so that you can put it on YouTube and you can put it on the web and you can submit to conferences, and then you can show that you know how to speak. Go to Toastmasters and learn how to speak, right? Or take a public speaking course. Dale Carnegie's one is one I want to take. I haven't taken it yet, but so let's see here. Networking techniques. Okay, I think we've pretty much covered it here for now. We could talk more about this. So actually, you know what? Here's a good opportunity. If I haven't covered something you want to know specifically about networking, I try to kind of give it more of a principled approach so you can sort of draw a strategy from that. And I gave you a couple of strategies, that what Dan Martell does. But if you have questions specifically, go ahead and leave a comment below, and I'll try to get to those, and maybe I'll make some more questions about, or make some more videos about networking. And yeah, and if you like this video, I do have a request for you. You want to network with me? Be a subscriber. You want to network with a bunch of people who care about their jobs, who care about their careers? Click that subscribe button, because this community, now some people who post stuff on on YouTube are the scum of the earth. I'll just say that. You guys, it's cool. You know that you're the scum of the earth, and you're just gonna. I don't know why you're subscribing, like to just like post shit, but hey, you do it. That's fine. Anyway, click the subscribe button. And you can join. And if you want a more exclusive community, I will give you a link here. You can check out the Patreon campaign that we have for Simple Programmer. While it's around, I don't know what I'm going to do with this at this point, but I will have the Facebook group going on, and you can join that through the Patreon. That's the only way to get in there right now. Maybe in the future I'll create some other way to do that, but that you can definitely get a group of filtered people that actually really do care and don't post stupid comments on YouTube. So anyway, I hope you liked the video. Good luck with your networking. Remember, give people value. That's what you do. That's how you network, because if you're valuable to other people, they're going to want to be in your network, and that's the key to it. So anyway, I will talk to you next time. Take care.